Okay. Okay, I am excited today to do pork tacos. Pork tacos are one of my favorite things. I probably could eat this once a day. For some reason, it just really hits the spot for me. So, before we started this, I had encouraged you to cook pork ahead of time. Cooking meat in a slow cooker, in a crock pot or Instant Pot or whatever, sometimes it takes longer than I expected. And I have been really frustrated when I leave it for last minute and I'm trying to have it done by a certain time and then it just needs a little extra time. So this particular recipe, I like to cook it a day before where there's plenty of time and I'm not desperately it doesn't have to be done at an exact certain time. Just let it cook slowly. I've talked about this before, but I do mine in my crock pot. I have a faithful crock pot that I've had for 34 years and it just keeps on going. So I keep using it. And my pork roast, it was a small one and mine did take about 6 hours on high. So it took a little while. And I was going to say that Costco has a pack of 4 roasts. Often I do 2 roasts. I cook 2 roasts at a time. So I have a bunch and I can use it multiple ways. And I put that in one of the emails. Sometimes I use it for enchiladas. Sometimes I use it for nachos or a taco bowl or taco wrap or on tortillas. There's just so many different ways of using tacos, this taco mixture. And I have kind of taken the idea of using a fajita. Like when you do a fajita, you have the protein, the meat, and then you do onions and peppers. So that's the same kind of idea, and I just throw it all together. So I need to chop my stuff. So we'll just do it really quick. I have this chopper that I like to use, and you can chop your veggies however works for you. This just goes really fast, and so that's what I like to use. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything, we can just kind of talk through our chat as we go. And I'd like to know your little tips too of what works for you. I just try to use as much of the pepper as I can. I'm doing a red and green pepper. Last week we kind of talked about cooking colorful foods. And so I love picking the colors that will just complement each other. So that's why I'm doing red and green today. And I'm curious, does anybody else have or use a chopper?
I'm old fashioned. I have a knife and a cutting board.
And last week when we did this, the people with a knife and a cutting board, perfect. They were doing it just keeping up with me too. It's not really a wrong way. Oh,
I don't know how to use it yet.
Okay, is this brand new?
Well, last year, about a year, I've had it and I haven't really used it. So it's got lots of pieces that I'm scared to try to put together.
Okay, should we talk through it?
Like, I don't know, is that the size?
Okay, so the one that I use, can you see that? Can you see how small they are?
Okay, I have a smaller one.
Yeah, so I like chopping them. You can chop them any size you want. For me, I feel like the smaller the veggie, like it cooks up really quickly, and I feel like I can throw a lot more veggies into it without the family complaining as much. I like to sneak as many veggies in as possible.
I guess
Um,
I have used it because it's got a little dried stuff on it.
somehow it's been used. So if that is helpful or helps your process, then use it. I like my chopper. I am gonna do the peppers first. We're gonna, I would also say, depending on how much meat you have, will probably determine how much pepper and onion you want in it. So I'm kind of judging mine by the amount of meat that I have. And so, like I said, I always try to throw as many veggies in as I can. But I'm gonna do 2 different colored peppers. And then these little pieces, I'm kind of putting multiple pieces on just. And other thing is, I've left both colors in there. I didn't need to clean it out because it's just going in the same recipe. So what we're doing today is chopping what we need for today. I often double the veggies that I need, and I will keep some in the fridge as ingredients that are ready to go for another meal. So I try to save time by doing all the chopping up front. I've done my 2, let me grab my. I'm gonna throw the peppers into something else. If I could have my way, I think I'd love to have people here in person doing it together, but since we live so far away and it just saves time, it's just kind of a fun way to do it virtually.
Becky,
Yes.
I was gonna ask, how many like peppers do you buy in a week and chop up in a week?
I'll show you. They're in my fridge. Um, I get 6 and I chop up 3 of them and I use them, and when they're done, then I'll chop the other ones if I need them. But when I have a couple of full ones on hand, I have a couple of other recipes that I use. I do a stuffed pepper. So I will leave 1 or 2 unchopped to use for that. But in a week's time, I pretty much can go through 6 peppers.
That's amazing. And you're eating most of it, right?
You mean rather than throwing it away?
No, I mean like Richard and
Oh,
Nate
the
and
family.
like, this is more your go-to food?
And me.
Yeah.
And Mary, she's
And me.
home.
I'm
And
still
Mary-
here.
Mary's eating it.
Mary's
Okay.
moved home. So now Mary and I get to share the joys of eating together.
Yep.
Yay.
We've already got a few aubergine trips planned in the future. That's where we get to go eat out.
Yeah, that's your treat.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then you just get to cook aubergine at home on the other day.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. So, yeah, I have some chopped ingredients on hand in my fridge that I can create a meal last minute if I need to. And I also have meals in my fridge that I've already created that are ready to eat. So I can heat those up and I can eat those. But for right now, it's helpful that I have foods that I know I can go to and eat. And some of the times my family, I can adjust it and they'll like it or eat it. But they I used to feel bad if they didn't eat my food. Now if they don't want it, they don't need it. I get to have more leftovers. So yes, a lot of times this is just what I am choosing to eat and it works for me. And most of the time I sit down and eat at the same time with them, but for example, tacos is an easy one. We can all build the toppings that we want on it. And they can use a flour tortilla if they want. I prefer the corn tortilla. Like my head's getting cut off. And yeah, just kind of be flexible. And they really, I would say that their favorite part of this meal, my family, is turning it into nachos. They love it over. Like I've done it for Katie and her family. I did this at the retreat that I did. It's just so versatile. You can add the toppings that you like or not like. So I switched and I'm doing the onion. Now you can't see what I'm doing, huh? So I've cut the onion, had a whole onion, I cut it in half. I laid it on the flat side and then I cut these strips that are about a 1/4 inch. And then I put them in the chopper. And it makes just nice little chopped pieces. I don't know if well, Abby's on the phone. Abby is muted and her camera's off, but she might be listening. But her mom's Mary Kim, my sister.
Hi, I'm here.
Here you are. You're fixing your lunch. Is Mary Kim still there?
Yes.
Yes. So Mary Kim is my inspiration. Your mom is my inspiration, Abby.
Weird.
Yeah. She has taught me a lot about this and how to do it. And I just like she did, I just want to tell everybody about it because it's like life-changing. And I'd like to know how she makes it work with her family or what it looks like at their house, because I know that her husband does not appreciate eating this kind of food either. How does it work at your house?
It works very trickily. I don't know. That's not even a word. I've been making it work. I've been taking new recipes because I've been eating the same thing for 2 years. I've been taking just regular recipes and adapting them with the things I know and with what I can put in and okay ingredients. And it's been really fun to try new recipes, and we've had some yummy ones recently. So we did a Mexican roasted veggie. So we chopped up a bunch of veggies and then I sprinkled them with taco seasoning. And that was yummy.
Mhm.
And I think we could do that with what we're doing right here, right?
Yeah.
Take all these veggies and just toss them in the taco flavoring, the seasoning that I have.
Yeah. A little olive oil and some taco seasoning, and then you roast them, and it gave them a really good flavor. It was really yummy.
Mary,
Yeah.
when you say veggies, are you talking peppers, onion?
Oh, yeah. I did red onion,
Peppers.
all the
zucchini.
peppers, zucchini. I forgot the broccoli, but you can do broccoli. I did some Parmesan roasted green beans. Those actually were really good. And my family actually ate them, even though Kevin doesn't like greens, he ate them. So you roast the green beans with a little salt and pepper and garlic and the olive oil, and then you take it out, and if you are okay to eat cheese, Parmesan cheese is usually pretty safe. I covered him in Parmesan cheese and put him under a broiler for like 3 minutes. And it just crisped up the cheese and made them really yummy. But that would be really good also with a little balsamic vinegar or something on top. That would be yummy. But
I think you should teach our next class.
Yeah, that sounds yummy, Mary.
I've been trying to branch out a little bit to see if I can't get everybody on board. It's great to have
Yeah.
Abby here because she comes over and says, "Oh, this is good." But everybody else is like, "Oh, really?" But they eat it.
And I get a lot of questions about that, how like I want to eat healthy, but my family's not on board, or they're not doing it, and it's a thing at my house too.
Right.
Um,
Some of the tricks, and Abby's been teaching me this, is I make my own mayo. So any recipe that calls for mayo, I can eat it because I've made my own mayo.
mhm.
And that helps. I have yet to make, Abby has made it, but I want to make my own cream of anything soup.
Oh,
It's a powder and you just add your own.
The powder, I just.
Oh, I have a recipe for a powder that then you reconstitute with chicken broth or beef broth or mushroom, you add your mushrooms to it with some chicken broth or vegetable broth. I don't know, learning little things like that. It's a lot easier than we think.
yeah.
We're used to convenience, but with a little extra work, it's not so bad. So,
Yeah.
and it
Okay.
cleans things up.
Honey.
Yeah. I love all your advice. I'm just gonna show, I'm
Yeah.
doing my yellow squash now. So I took my yellow squash and I cut it into sections that will fit in my chopper. And now I'm cutting them into like 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch sections. And this is what I put in my chopper. So when it comes out, they're in these perfect little diced pieces. So, I like your ideas, Mary Kim, and I either need to maybe type them up and send them in my email, or maybe we do I'd love to do, one of my ideas would be a roasted vegetable different day of how to roast vegetables, and there's so many different ideas about that. Or a soup base, that would be a great one to do. I wanted to focus on this is such a fun time of year to make soups. So I want to do a day about that in November. So we will figure out something fun. Okay. Let's keep moving along. So how close are you to having all your veggies ready? Are all of your things ready, Marissa?
Yeah, I keep muting myself because every time I push down the chopper, the noise makes my dogs bark.
Oh,
It's working.
and sorry, my chopper is probably really loud too.
Oh, it's not, it's okay.
Sarah, are you ready?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move over to the pan and heat up my pan. I'm gonna do this in a pot, so that just gives it more room. Okay, so we're gonna take the veggies that we have, 2 different colors of peppers and onions and yellow squash. I had to add the yellow for color. And we're gonna take these over here. The other thing I have is a garlic clove, and I use my mincer. Sometimes you can buy the garlic already minced, but I like doing my own. And I'm gonna move this over here. And I think, yeah, that works. Okay, so over here we have the veggies that we've already chopped. And I have my can of black beans that I've already drained and rinsed. They're ready to just toss in. And then I have my shredded pork that I cooked yesterday. And then I talked about this Mexican, I really like this Mexican blend, Spice Hunter. I saw it at Sprouts yesterday. And it's just all pure ingredients and nothing added to it. So I use this generously because this is where all the flavor will come. You can add extra onion salt, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, all of those. Cumin is a really good one for Mexican flavoring. So we're just gonna flavor it and add as much as you would personally like. And I have to test my pan. I don't know if you know this or with stainless steel pans. If you sprinkle it with water, when it bubbles, that's ready, it's heated up. And when it doesn't, yeah, it just makes all these little bubbles.
Becky, did you add oil yet or no?
Now I will, now that I know my pan is hot. So I do about a tablespoon, maybe 1.5 tablespoons. And I like starting with the onion. I love that sound when it hits the hot pan. Last week I talked about these little wooden spatula things that I use that I think are really awesome. It's just pure wood and it's flat. It's great for stir fries and stirring veggies. I don't use it with raw meat. I'm not sure how good the wood would clean with raw meat, but I like this for. So the onions get a little bit tender. I'll throw in the garlic next. And in there. Okay, so I've got the onions going. I just threw in some garlic. And if there's anything you don't want to add, you don't have to add anything. If you have something you really love and you want more of it, then add more of it. To me, this one is really about the onions and the peppers. So I'm gonna throw the peppers in next. So having these vegetables already chopped and then they're in your fridge, making dinner can be so much easier. I typically have multiple proteins on hand. I'll have some shredded chicken or chicken tenders. I'll have some shredded pork. I'll have the ground turkey. Often I season it when I cook it and then I can just throw it into a meal. At Costco, there's some great chicken sausages by Amy Lou is the brand. And those are really easy to throw into any veggie mix. Amy Lou has quite a few options and sausages and like chicken patties and stuff, and her things are very clean. So I like the Amy Lou brand. And do you have any questions about like how's it going for you at your house? How's it going, Marissa?
I put in the oil, onions, garlic and peppers. Did you do the seasoning yet or no?
I have not yet.
Okay, I just have like a taco seasoning that I mixed up myself.
Great.
One question is that you had on your list, was it coriander? I've never put that in the taco seasoning. Is that?
When I was looking at this one, it has coriander in there. And then when I looked up online, what are Mexican flavors, seasonings, they mentioned coriander. So I really hadn't either.
Okay, I threw it in just to try it out.
Yeah. And if you notice on my recipes, I don't really put measurements of spices on there because I feel like I honestly don't measure them. I just put in until I like this. I smell it a lot. In fact, we have to pause. We have to smell what we're making because I sniff things a lot while I'm cooking. That's why I check the flavors. Oh, I have the itch. I'm gonna throw the yellow squash in now. So mine is starting to be colorful. It's red, green, and yellow. And I love taking pictures of it. Let me see if I can show you. I think the fun thing for me about cooking is the colors. Watching the colors come together, and I think there's a lot of nutrition in adding a lot of colors. And a variety of colors brings different nutrients. So I look for color, I look for flavoring, and I also salt and pepper a lot. You can do that along the way. I also always top it off with salt and pepper when I go to eat almost anything. I always add. And sea salt is I've learned just to use sea salt in the last doing the anti-inflammatory. Just natural and pure. All right. I think I'm gonna add. Okay, I'm gonna add my seasonings. I'll start adding the flavor to it. I'm gonna start with a tablespoon of my Mexican seasoning. Oh, and smell that. When you feel like the veggies are, oh, hey, When you feel like the veggies are tender and cooked well enough, then you can add the black beans. I have thrown everything in, but you kind of go with how much the combination, the balance that you like. I'm going to start with half the black beans.
Do you drain the beans?
I did. I drained them and I rinsed them. And I usually buy the low sodium beans. I am ready to throw my pork in.
Did you turn the heat off or is it still on?
It's still on. It's yeah, it's still on, and I just keep things moving. So I just basically need to heat this meat up, heat through it, and then this is done.
Did you have juice in your meat?
Yeah,
So add the juice.
I threw the juice in too. For me, pork dries out really fast, so I keep as much of the liquid, and it's just water that I had added when it was baking, cooking. So I keep all of that in there. And I'll show you what mine looks like. So I just kind of go with, yeah, I think I want to add more black beans or not. I am going to add more seasoning. I'll probably double what the amount of seasoning that there you go, that I had. I'm going to add another tablespoon of the Mexican seasoning. How does it smell? Like stopping to smell the roses. You got to stop and smell your food. Add some onion powder and garlic powder. I'm gonna do a teaspoon of each.
You add powder even though you added fresh garlic
Yeah,
and onion?
I feel like this is quite a large amount. And so I'm not gonna shy on adding lots of flavor to it.
Okay.
When you eat it or your family eats it, you know, maybe they're adding more salsa to it, or maybe they're adding cheese or whatever. But for me, I like, yeah, if it's flavored well, it makes all of that taste better. Honestly, when I cooked up this meat, I was like, oh, that's not very much meat. I don't know how far that's gonna go. But I don't know about you, but this is making a lot. I'm glad I did it in my big pot. So it looks good to me. Let's do that. Yeah, I have a big pot of pork. I am going to turn this off. I'm going to let this just continue to. I'm going to turn it off and put the lid on it is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go do the creamy cilantro. Is everybody about ready or done with their meat? Okay. All right, let's do, let's go do the cilantro, because this will just take us a minute. Okay. Put this here. Okay. I have the dressing. I have measured out the things for the dressing, and if you have it ready to go, great. If not, you can follow along as I add this. But I will pull up the recipe so I can follow it. This recipe I got from the inflammatory reset book. I'll show you. This creamy cilantro dressing came from this book. And I made it last week. And I'm trying to find my recipe. Okay, here we go. And it was just so nice to have like another dressing that's clean, and I could add it to, well, I told you I have pork taco almost every day because I love it so much. Okay, so I'm gonna do the liquid ingredients first. So I'll do the 3/4 cup of olive. Actually, I think I like to save the olive oil. I need, oh, we're throwing it all in. When I've done dressings before, I like to leave the oil for the end, but I didn't do that this time because I need. Okay, 3/4 cup of olive oil, 3/4 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos. So there's the 3 liquids. Then I have a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Strain that. And then my garlic clove. Mince the garlic into there.
I ask a question.
Yep.
What exactly is coconut aminos? I've never used it before.
Uh-huh. So coconut aminos has no soy in it. Soy is an inflammatory agent. So if you're trying to be anti-inflammatory, staying away from soy is pretty important. So this coconut aminos is kind of a replacement for it, but it's really tasty. And I like it on doing like a rice bowl with veggies, and I use this in like a stir fry. I'll use this with coconut milk, a can of coconut milk, to make a sauce. Like if, yeah, I'm doing more coconut milk sauces with this than I'm doing other sauces. So, and it's anywhere, it's any grocery store, it's pretty easy to find. Any other questions?
So you use it like in place of soy sauce?
Yep.
That's the same, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
The meal that I made last week, the turkey hash, I love it on top of that. I use coconut aminos on that. Okay, so now I want to 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Again, I use the sea salt. And then the hemp seed. And then I will blend that. I have my cilantro, but I'm going to add that after. So I'm going to go turn my blender on. And fun fact, my blender is at 1,000. It counts up every time I use it. And this marks 1,001. Right, and then I'm gonna add the cilantro. Okay, I'm happy with that. I was just making sure it was blended up pretty good. Yeah, and now I've got this. I know that Cafe Rio Creamy Tomatillo is a big deal. This is another option for a creamy cilantro dressing. And it's, like I said, it just adds another layer to another option for tacos. This would be really good on fish tacos. So that's it. There's the dressing that we made, and our pork tacos are done. And that's all I have for today. I hope that your food you can use for Halloween or the rest of the weekend or whatever. But do you have any questions, or how did it turn out? I want to know what you were able to do and how it turned out at your house.
Becky,
Yeah.
can I ask real quick? So hemp seed, is that a thickener? Like, is that what it would do to the dressing if I
Yeah.
found a substitute?
Yes, it's a seed.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I added something that would be similar to that, like flaxseed? No. Hemp seed, what is hemp seed? I mean, you'd want something that would have the same consistency or do what hemp seed does. I'm not sure.
Right. I'm trying to think, like, if I were to look up the creamy tomatillo dressing, I think that it would probably has mayo in it. Or
That might be what it feels
yeah.
as. Okay,
Um,
I'll look at it and see. I'm just wondering. And where else do you use hemp seed?
I
Often?
throw them in my smoothies.
Smoothies.
It's a protein source.
Okay.
It has protein in it.
Is it also,
Abby, you know, oh yeah, go ahead.
right, is it also kind of high calorie? I was looking at the package, it was like, or not, what was it? High saturated, high fat. I thought, I don't know, 12 grams of fat on this for 3 tablespoons. I was,
So that would be a healthy fat. We do need fats.
Right.
So this is a healthy version, like avocados have fat in them
right, okay.
for you. So Abby, do you know more about hemp seed?
I do. So hemp seed, I'll pull out my bag so I can make sure I get it right. So this is what I have. I just get it from Costco. They're called hemp hearts,
That's what I
but
have.
they're hemp seeds, but
Mhm.
hemp hearts is the same thing. So they are a good source of plant protein. And so when you add them into like smoothies or just anything, it can just up the protein. But I think what they are better for is their omega-3 fatty acids. So In the standard American diet that we eat, we consume a lot of omega-6 fatty acids, which they are necessary for us, but because of the amount of oils that we consume, seed oils like soybean and canola and like all the vegetable oils, those oils are really high in omega-6s, which means that our bodies, like when we're eating just, standard American diet food, we end up, sorry, they're talking about potty over there. We end up consuming too many omega-3s, and that can be inflammatory to our bodies. It can cause a lot of, omega-6s. So if we have too many omega-6s, they can be inflammatory to our bodies. So we need to balance out the amount of omega-6s we consume by eating like an equal amount of omega-3s. So hemp hearts and also chia seeds, and like grass-fed butter and pasture-raised eggs and like grass-fed beef, those are high in omega-3s. So when we eat high omega-3 foods, it helps to balance out the amount of omega-6 foods that we consume. So it's anti-inflammatory because of the omega-3s it contains. It helps balance out the omega-6s that we eat. Did that make sense? Sorry, I got kind of jumbled there for a second.
Well, you were put on the spot, but you did a great job. That was a really great explanation of the difference between omega-6 and omega-3s. So yeah, I like that. It helps balance out all the omega-6s that we're getting. So there's the benefits of hemp hearts. Thank you, Abby. I'm so glad you can share your knowledge.
Thank you, Abby.
She knows a lot. She's studied this a lot.
You're welcome. Yes, I'm kind of a nerd. When it comes to nutrition, I'm kind of a nerd.
Well, I think this is a good place for you to share it, actually. We need, like, I don't understand all the scientific things behind it. I'm like, it feels good and it sounds good, and somebody else can explain it. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So I appreciate that.
So with I can chime in on coconut aminos too.
Okay.
So the problem with soy is there's a lot of problems with soy. I'll name two though. So one problem with soy is that it's a GMO crop, which means that pretty much there are a few that aren't, but pretty much every soybean crop that is planted is genetically modified. And so our bodies are not meant to handle these genetically modified crops. They're literally designed to put holes in the lining of your intestines, because that's how they get rid of the pests. Is it puts holes in their stomachs and their intestines, and it makes their stomachs explode, and so that kills the bugs. So when we eat those GMO crops, it does a similar thing, but since we're bigger, it doesn't kill us. It just puts holes in our intestines, which causes leaky gut. So that's one of the problems with soy. There are some soy products that are non-GMO, but those are really hard to come by. Also, what I think is the biggest problem with soy is that it is an estrogenic food, which means it contains a lot of estrogen. And we live in an environment where no one is short on estrogen. Estrogen is the female hormone, of course. Men need estrogen too, but when we have too much estrogen, we put on more weight because fat produces estrogen. So if we are intaking a lot of estrogenic foods, then we put on more weight, and then the fat that we have secretes more estrogen, which makes us want to put on more weight. So it's like a never-ending cycle. So when we can just avoid eating estrogenic foods, it will help cut the fat, our body's instinct to put on fat. It can help cut that down. So it's important to avoid foods like soy, because they can make you put on more fat. Soy is hidden in everything though. It's really hard to avoid soy. But yeah, coconut aminos is really good because it comes from the coconut flower. So it doesn't actually come from like a coconut. It comes from the flower before the coconut. So it's just like the nectar that they get from the flower. But yeah, it tastes just like soy sauce. But it's way better for you. It's not going to give you that estrogenic flare up in your body that we don't need. And yeah, it just tastes really good. So there you go.
That was really great. Wow, thank you. I just whatever she said. It's awesome. Like I said, I hear it and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, but it's hard for me to repeat it. So thanks for teaching us that. I'm going to add that into my comments that there's extra information about coconut aminos and hemp parts at the end. That's really helpful. Thank you. Are there any other questions or anything we need to talk about that before we, no, I'm just going to end it. And yes, thanks for joining us today. And I'll just end the recording.
Thank you.